Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco and Pastor Dragonfly with the Intuitive Report, and we're extremely excited to be joined by Bishop Larry Gaiters. Bishop, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Brother Michael.
And Michael Jacob.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Brother Michael, and also Pastor Smith for the invite. And I've been following your work, both of your works, for a very long time. And you guys are indeed a true man and woman of God. So these are some interesting times that we're living in, without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
Yes.
And, I just saw, just before we started, I was kind of like brushing through the news, and I saw that Nike is coming out with a new shoe. It's a 666 shoe. That kind of rhymes, doesn't it? And
yeah.
It's crazy, all the stuff that we're seeing. We're all people of God, and we're trying to support people that are trying to stay in the light. There's a lot of darkness that's trying to pull us down right now. What are you seeing?
Well, it's interesting that you made mention of that number 666. From the assassination of the late Malcolm X to the birth of Chadwick Boseman of the Panther is 666 weeks.
Wow.
And then from the death, the assassination of Malcolm X to the death or the assassination of Chadwick Boseman is 666 months. So nothing is by random. It's all synchronized. And the reason I say assassination, especially with Chadwick Boseman, he was a conservative at heart. And any Black person, any person of color in Hollywood or in the sports and entertainment and industrial complex, if they were supporters of President Trump, they're taken out. But I really want to talk about today a very unique title, the greatest global cover-up in human history. Now, we're going to go through this again from the death of Kobe Bryant. And one may say, what does Kobe's death have anything to do with what's going on today? Because the death of Kobe Bryant on the 20th of January 2020, it began this global cascade, this global synchronization of events, from Kobe's death, to COVID-19, to the nation and the world being shut down, and also to Black Lives Matter, who are led by 3 stinking witches. Now, you have to excuse me, I don't have a great bedside manner, because what I am a biblical John Wick. I am a apostolic contract assassin and the Pentecostal mercenary. My job is not to make friends. My job is to decapitate the system. So before we get to what's going on today, let's examine concerning Kobe Bryant that will serve as a background in order for your listeners to understand the foreground of what's going on today. Now, Kobe Bryant, from 1996 to the year 2003, was not controlled by the deep state. He didn't have any tattoos. He had no connection to the 𝙁𝙁 Secret Society. Now, one may say, well, Bishop, who and what is the 𝙁𝙁 Secret Society? The 𝙁𝙁 Secret Society began on the 15th of May in 1904 with Rockefeller Foundation money. So the term 𝙁𝙁 is a Greek Hellenistic term signifying the protectors or the gatekeepers of the order. What order? The order of not just the order of chapter 322 of the Skulls and Bones, but also the order of this global Luciferian heptagon pentagram system. So in order for us to understand why we are eyewitnessing what we are eyewitnessing now, let's start with Kobe Bryant. So from 1996 to the year 2003, Kobe Bryant is uncontrollable. In other words, he's not a part of any 𝙁𝙁 Secret Society. Now, to your powerful listeners, the term 𝙭 not only means they are the gatekeepers, but the 𝙭𝙀 Secret Society, which is spelled capital BOUL''E, it means that the deep state has designed a black skulls and bones. So the 𝙭𝙀 Secret Society was the first Black secret society organization in American history that began in the city of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the hometown of one Kobe Bean Bryant. So I find it fascinating that not only is the 𝙭created in Philadelphia, but also another Black Skulls and Bones organization entitled the Prince Hall Masonic Order. Anyone of any renown in Black America, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, who has that 𝙭tattooed on his chest, which is a composition of half man, half woman, half lion, half eagle, that represents the global transgender agenda of the 𝙭. So a 𝙭 is chosen by the system to protect the very same system that has held them in slavery for the past 430 years. Now, I am a Black conservative. I am a supporter of our great president, President Donald J. Trump. So then I'm not teaching victimhood today, but to understand why we are seeing these riots across the country and why we are eyewitnessing these mass shootings. The deep state are masters of fully manipulating our historical trauma and weaponizing our historical pain against us so that we react instead of to respond through the mind of God. So the greatest global cover-up in human history has to start with Kobe Bean Bryant. Now, in 2003, he travels to Eagle, Colorado, under the direction of the late Dr. Jerry Buss, the former owner of the Los Angeles Lakers. So Kobe travels to Eagle, Colorado, and he is assigned a knee doctor to work on his knee. The doctor's name is Dr. Richard Stedman. Now, Dr. Richard Stedman is not only a knee physician, okay, in the Eagle, Colorado area, but Dr. Richard Stedman is a member of Phi Beta Kappa. Now, to your listeners, Phi Beta Kappa is the legal in the educational arm of the deep state. That's Phi Beta Kappa. But Kappa Beta 5 is the Wall Street faction of the deep state. So Kobe goes to Eagle, Colorado, and he's set up. And see, if they, when I say they, this deep state, global Luciferian, excellent photo there, man of God, this deep state heptagon system, they don't want any Black person or any person to be free and liberated. What they want is for us to be emancipated. And here is the great distinction between emancipation versus liberation. Now, in the 1863 document entitled the Emancipation Proclamation. Now, the term, ladies and gentlemen, emancipation simply means that you are a controlled asset of the state. You're not free or liberated in Christ, but you're still a slave. You might be a multi-million-dollar slave, but you're still a slave. Because the entire American sports and entertainment industrial complex is singularly built on deception going back to the Rothschild dynasty, because during the transatlantic slave trade, the origins, and I'm going to get into something here that may offend a lot of people, but my objective, my assignment is to unlayer this conspiracy beginning with Kobe Bean Bryant. So Kobe Bryant is sent to Colorado to see a Phi Beta Kappa doctor. Now, Richard Stedman sends him almost 40 miles away from the location where he was going to stay, near the doctor's office. My question is, why would Dr. Richard Stedman send Kobe Bryant 30, almost 40 miles away from where he was getting his knee worked on? Because Dr. Richard Stedman knows the family of a young lady by the name of Caitlin Faber. Now, Caitlin Faber's family is Phi Beta Kappa, and Caitlin Faber's family knows Dr. Richard Stedman. Now, if Kobe raped that girl, I have no problem of him, going to prison. He should have went to prison. I have no problem with that. So then, in the sports and entertainment industrial complex, we go back to slavery. The origins of football did not come out of Canton, Ohio. The origins of football came from the plantation, going back as early as the early 1400s. If a man, woman, or child was outspoken on the plantation and they had a problem of not keeping quiet, their heads were decapitated and dipped in brown paint and dried on a field overnight. Then the head of the slave was stuffed inside of a gutted pig, and the slave master was sewed the pig up, and that's where you get the psyop of pig skin. Whereas the slave master's children would kick the pig skin around with the decapitated head of the slave. Now, 80% of the NFL are men of color. I'm not making this a black and white thing.
Right.
Because to understand why Black people keep getting manipulated by the left and why we continually fall for these games, not just through the Democratic Party, but also on the right, you have these jelly-back devils like Mitt Romney, ran for president for the past 1,000 years. And all of these devils like John McCain, these devils, the late John McCain, they are two heads of the same snake. Absolutely. Now, according to the German philosopher, Dr. Immanuel Kant, he talks about the distinction between a filtered reality versus an unfiltered reality. A filtered reality is based upon a scam called reality. Now, notice the term reality. Re is a suffix, and ality represents pre-origination, before origination. So this reality that's based on a scam called time, because the 12-month calendar that you and I are abiding by came from not just Pope Gregory in the Vatican Order, going back to the 1500s, but the Gregorian calendar, man and woman of God, came from the fallen angels called Gregories in Genesis 6, Enoch 6, Jude 6, 666. So the Gregorian calendar is the offspring of fallen angels. So that's why we're living in a reality, or what we call the matrix. So that's a filtered reality. Now unfiltered reality, it represents that we are not tied to a fallacy called time, because time is eternity with a beginning, and eternity is time without a beginning. In other words, time is a fallacy. God is not connected to time, because God is both internal and eternal, who has become external to man. Now, unfiltered reality is living in the spirit of Christ, okay? Unfiltered reality is being non-contacted or not touching this disease called the matrix. So people who have never dealt with their pain and people who have never dealt with their trauma are being manipulated like mannequins on a stage. So Kobe Bryant is set up. Now, I got two contacts in the federal government, man and woman of God, whose names I would never reveal because I don't want to be 6 feet under pushing daisies. I'm not stupid. But Kobe Bryant was set up, okay, in Colorado. So he's told by his knee doctor, Dr. Richard Stebbin, to go to the Cordelia Hotel. That's almost 40 miles away, okay? That's in Edwards, Colorado. Now, who owns the Cordelia Hotel? The Pritzker family out of Chicago. Now, who are the Pritzkers? The Pritzker family's bloodline goes back to the Ukraine, being connected to the Prussian Empire, okay, in the early part of the 1700s. So Kobe Bryant is connected to the Pritzkers as far as the Sikorsky 76B helicopter that Kobe was taken out. So he's in Colorado and he goes to this hotel. And as a side note, not only do the Pritzkers own the Cordelia Spa, okay, in Edwards, Colorado, but they own both the Standard Hotel chains, where Adam Shifty Schiff's buddy, Ed Buck, was arrested some years ago because there were 3 young Black men who had died in a Standard Hotel room in Chicago. Well, the Pritzker family owns the Standard Hotel, but they also own the W Hotel chain, where an African-American minister and pastor, Smith probably knows, has heard of this individual, Dr. Zachary Timms. Now, Dr. Zachary Timms was a mega church pastor out of Orlando. And then he was set to be a guest on a radio show that was connected to CBS Radio. And he was going to expose the Black gay mafia in the church, beginning with Bishop T.D. Snakes. Wow. Then the day that he was supposed to expose these devils, beginning with T.D. Snakes, the police found the hotel personnel, and the police found his body at the W Hotel here in Times Square, where he OD'd on heroin. Well, according to my contacts in the federal government, along with the NYPD, that was a stage scene in his hotel room, because the deep state knows your past, okay? And then they would set you up in order to destroy you. So they took him out. So the Pritzkers owned the W Hotel chain. Now back to Kobe and Eagle, Colorado. So he meets a young woman by the name of Caitlin Faber. Okay. Now, like I said, listen, if any man rapes a woman, he should go to prison for the rest of his life, or he should get castrated. I don't have a problem with that. But here's the problem that I have. Kobe made a mistake of inviting this young woman to his hotel room. 3 days before they met, Caitlin Faber got a job at the Cordelia Hotel, okay? So one thing leads to another, and then she doesn't call the police nor the sheriff's department. She goes to her boyfriend's house and has sex. I'm not degrading her character. I'm just presenting the facts. So it's up to your beautiful listeners to come up with the proper conclusion. So the following day, when she went home, same dress where she wore the night before, she claimed that she was raped. She went home and her parents found out through her it was Kobe. So they called the sheriff's department. Now, there is an attorney that was assigned to him, not by the Bus family of the Los Angeles Lakers. This attorney was assigned to him, a woman by the name of Pamela Mackey. Pamela Mackey represents Jessley Maxwell. Pamela Mackey also represents R. Kelly. So Pamela Mackey, who represents both Jessley Maxwell today and R. Kelly, but she also represents Harvey Weinstein. But she becomes Kobe's lawyer. Kobe doesn't know her, okay? Then Kobe pays off the girl. So now, later on during that year of 2003, Kobe hires a new agent, a man by the name of Rob Pelinka. Rob Pelinka is the general manager and the president of basketball operations for the Los Angeles Lakers. So then Rob Pelinka had said at Kobe's memorial that he was the last one to talk to Kobe on the phone while Kobe was in the helicopter. How did Rob Pelinka know that Kobe Bryant was in that helicopter? Excellent picture there, man, the guy, as we're kind of just laying this schematical foundation concerning the greatest global cover-up in human history. So Kobe joins the 𝗂𝙁 Society. So the 𝗂𝙁 Society started with Rockefeller money through two men, a man by the name of Dr. Henry McKee Menton, and a doctor, a philosopher, and an educator, Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois. Now, Dr.
Oh, I lost him for a second.
So it's amazing, you know, all the information that Bishop Gaiters has.
Absolutely. And you know what's so crazy is I lived in Edwards during that time, and
You're kidding me.
No, Cordillera was our club. There was three different places where you could go, and he's correct. The top one, the one that was the furthest, like closest to Eagle, was a hotel also. And what's also nuts is that I knew the sheriff. Like, it's a small town, and so I knew the sheriff. I couldn't get any information out of him though. He was a true professional, or you know, who knows what. But while he's saying all this, I'm sitting here going, wow. And it's so great. He's like red pilling the red pill people, you know. He's somebody that you just want to have a notebook and ask him a million questions. It's just incredible.
Yeah. So yeah, he's amazing, all the stuff he reveals. Hopefully we'll come back in. He'll probably come back in a sec. So what I have been sharing is that the CIA basically has a massive footprint in Colorado, in the Denver area in particular, and that it seems like we're having all these different shootings that are happening there. You know, MK Ultra, mind control, basically CIA operation, Mockingbird, CIA operation. So it's kind of the same thing. So it's not surprising that in Colorado that they set 𝗂𝗃 up with this event. And that's basically, they do these things so that they can you know, control these people. Absolutely. You know, so 𝗂𝗃, like, you know, Bishop Gaiters was saying, there was a time where he didn't have any tattoos. He wasn't, you know, controlled by them. But probably after this event, you know, and this is the way they do these things, they had him. That's the way they have done this for many, many thousands of years. You know, intelligence agencies set people up. Our intelligence agency, the three-letter agency we have here in the United States, is probably one of the worst ever. And I think that, you know, Jeffrey Epstein was part of their organization, and you know, was part of entrapping people. And of course, there are people that were already entrapped that they kept them supplied, you know, over time to keep them in the organization. So there's, you know, some wickedness that, you know, transcends many different things. So that's fascinating that you were actually there during that time frame.
Well, and it's funny because I immediately look at stuff different now. So my first reaction was, okay, was Kobe Bryant MK Ultra from the beginning? But then when he said no, he was, you know, kind of uncontrollable until 2003. And my immediate thing was, oh, that's when we lived in Colorado, you know? And so
Wow.
that was like ding, ding, ding. But then the other piece is if this surgeon sends him out there and this girl gets hired, you know, just a couple days before, how do we know she's not MK Ultra? I mean, we really,
Sure,
at that
sure.
point, I look at things so different now. She, or, you know, she could be, you know, a number of things. We don't know.
Right.
But to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I do know that there's a lot of very like high-end celebrities and different people that do watch your show. And I really want to like share with them right now, if any of them are listening, like, go to Michael Jaco, come clean, you know, do whatever it takes to get out of that, because people will have so much more grace than you think they will.
Yeah.
I think that people get so full of shame and they just give up hope and they just kind of go along with whatever it is. And we all have skeletons, you know. It's kind of like Jesus said at the well, you know, throw the first stone if you're, you know, not guilty, and everybody walked away.
Right, exactly.
So that's kind
of, yeah, you know, I might have an actress that's coming in pretty soon, so maybe the two of us can you know, interview her.
That'd be
give her a
awesome.
little, yeah.
I would love
And that's,
takes,
you know, they have a way of shutting us down, but you snap back real quick. So Carmen Studer and I were, you know, just talking about some of the stuff you were sharing about how the CIA is very heavily invested in Denver, and how they have the MK mind control and the Mockingbird and so forth. So it's not surprising that they set 𝗂𝗃 up with basically a sting operation, it looks like to me.
Yeah, I do apologize for the cutoff. The Wi-Fi is deep state. Let me go in here. So so 𝗂𝗃 quickly, and we're going to come up to what happened in Colorado, because you hit a powerful nerve with me, man of God, as we're kind of just laying this foundation concerning the greatest global cover-up in human history. So 𝗂𝗃's new agent is Rob Pelinka, okay, who's also Phi Beta Kappa. So Kobe Bryant then is initiated into the 𝙒𝙗𝙤 Society. Now, quickly here, the 𝙒𝙗𝙤 Society, they are the guardians of the global crab barrel. Now, that term is really known throughout Black America and throughout the Black diaspora. So the term crab barrel, it represents a system, whereas it has been designed not for the liberation of any color, but for the emancipation or for the control of a particular people, regardless of race. So the 𝙒𝙗𝙤 Society was created by Dr. Henry McKee Minton and Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois on the 15th of May in 1904 in Philadelphia. Underneath them, okay, is what we call the Divine Nine, okay? The Divine Nine, okay? It represents 9 Black Greek letter secret societies. Now, in the 1954 book by Dr. Charles H. Wesley, The History of Sigma Pi Phi, because Sigma Pi Phi means boule, okay? So for your audience, and Pastors Dragonfly and I had talked a couple of Saturdays ago, and I said to her, very few Black people even know about this organization. So these 9 organizations or Black fraternities are designed to protect the first 9 families of the 13 families on this earth. Now, here are the first 9 families who are protected by the remaining 4 families of this global Illuminati system, this bloodline that goes back to the fall, not just the fall of Lucifer, but the fall of the Nephilims, or the angels that we call Nephilims. The Rothschilds, the Oppenheimers, the Warburgs, who created the Federal Reserve System. The Rockefellers, the John Jacob Astor family, the Bilderbergs, the Habsburgs, the Sassoon family, and the Lee family out of China. So every Black college and university was not created nor designed by Black people. It was built for us, but not designed by us. And because it was built for us, but not designed by us, which means Black organizations are controlled by this global Kenzarian mafia. Now, when I say Kenzarian, I'm not talking about the 99% of Jewish people who are beautiful people. I'm talking about the 1% of these devils who call themselves Jews, but they are not. They are of the synagogue of Satan, such as Rothschilds, Oppenheimers, and the Warburgs. So the historically, I love teaching here. So the historically Black colleges and universities was subsidized by a man by the name of Julius Rosenwald. Now, Julius Rosenwald, a Kenzarian devil, was not only one of the founding members of the Sears Roebuck Company, but he also helped build the University of Chicago, the same school that Barack Hussein, with 1,000 different aliases, Obama, taught law in. So Julius Rosenwald not only built the 5,000 Rosenwald schools, but all of these Black colleges and universities. Why? Not because he loved Black people, but because the Kenzarian system needed to control through emancipation of people who don't know who they are. Let me say this again. Not every Black person, but the majority of Black people. And I'm going to come up to the shootings in Colorado here in the next 15 minutes. So then, because of this greatest global cover-up in human history, Black America is the only group of people on the planet who don't know who they are. We know what we are, but we don't know who we are. So we call ourselves Afro, Negro, we go Black, African American. We're all over the map because we don't know who we are, Brother Michael and Pastor Smith. So Kobe joins this organization. Now, as a quick side note, Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois was a sellout. Dr. Du Bois had a man deported by the name of Dr. Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Now, Dr. Marcus Mosiah Garvey, born in Jamaica, but matriculated to the United States in the early part of the 1920s, was a Black conservative, was a supporter of the Republican Party. But the 𝙒𝙗𝙘 Society was hired by J. Edgar Hoover to bring down Black conservative thought, okay? It's the same thing today.
Yep.
So Dr. Du Bois was also a man that had supported abortion. Now, in 1939, as we'll go back to Kobe here in a minute and then matriculate forward of what happened in Colorado. So in 1939, there was a document called, it was an assassination, what I call document, called the Negro Project. Wait a minute now. The Negro Project, which was the final solution for the extermination of Black America, connecting to both the Democratic Party into the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and the Oppenheimers, who gave Margaret Sanger, this devil, this whore, please forgive me because I don't have a great bedside manner, to create Planned Parenthood. So who signed on that document, the 1939 Negro Project? Not only Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, who was approached by Margaret Sanger, okay, as early as 1932, how can I gain access to Black America? Dr. Du Bois said, if you want to take over Black America, you have to target the Black pulpit, okay? So that 1939 Negro Project document, okay, was signed by Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois and leaders of the NAACP, SNCC, CORE, Urban League, these Black organizations who were not created by Black people, but by these Khazarian devils, not the 99% of the Jewish people. Guess who also signed on that 1939 Negro Project document? A woman by the name of Dorothy Taylor, who was the grandmother of one Valerie June Jarrett. Dorothy Taylor signed on that document in 1939, giving her blessing for Planned Parenthood to exterminate Black children. Again, I'm not making this a black and white thing. To understand what's going on now, we have to first understand the past. So Kobe Bryant gets mixed up with these people. So Black colleges and universities are designed not to liberate any family or any ethnicity. The 𝙒𝙗𝙘 Society, through Black colleges and universities, are designed to sustain the system, this Khazarian system, that regardless of your race, creed, or color, they want to keep you in perpetual enslavement. So the Rothschilds are protected by Alpha Phi Alpha. The Oppenheimers are protected by Alpha Kappa Alpha. The Warburgs, who created the Federal Reserve and who were indirectly responsible for the sinking of the Titanic, they're protected by Alpha Kappa Psi. Rockefellers are protected by Omega Psi Phi. The Astor family is protected by Delta Sigma Theta. The Bilderbergs are protected by Phi Beta Sigma. The Habsburgs are protected by Zeta Phi Beta. The Sassoon family, if you don't look good, we don't look good. Those devils who were responsible for 2 opium wars in China through James Matheson and William Jardine, who created 2 opium wars in China from 1839 to 1860. The Sassoon family runs the drug trade today. That's why we're still in Afghanistan. Has nothing to do with the Taliban. And man of God, you know this, and Pastor, you know this. So, and then the Sassoon family, like I said, they're protected by Sigma Gamma Rho. And then last but never least, the Lee family, they are protected, okay, by another secret society by the name of Gamma Rho. Okay, so wait a minute. So you got 9 Black fraternity and sororities who are designed to protect the first 9 families out of the 13 families. Okay, this is the organization that Kobe Bryant was a part of until the time of his death. Now let's talk about what happened this past Monday. Now I'm not going to get into the COVID stuff. You guys already know this, okay? Because I'm not going to get into that Kobe's name means COVID in Hebrew, okay? Wow. And then the 𝗏𝗏 Corporation out of Emeryville, California, had designed and patent the first 10 pathogens of COVID 1 through 10. Okay, then the 𝗏𝗏 Corporation, capital CHIRON, was sold to the Novartis AG group out of Basel, Switzerland. Okay, years later in 2012 for $5.7 billion. And the Novartis AG group was sold, okay, in 2018 to 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, ran by British MI6 in London for $13.7 billion. When that transaction went down, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, who were now the new owners as of 2018 of pathogens and strands of COVID 1 through 10, then bought a 80% control of the Pilbright Institute, which Pilbright had designed pathogens 11 to 18 of the coronavirus, the severe acute respiratory syndrome. Now in 2018, then the first 18 pathogens of the severe acute respiratory syndrome was sold to the People's Republic in China for $33.7 billion. And then early in 2019, the Chinese began to recruit scientists all over the world, which then later they developed the 19th pathogen, which is the combination of the first 18. Now, this past Monday, now recently I was on one of the most powerful shows, I believe, in this city, The Edge of Wonder. And I was teaching on the topic, the Treadstone hypothesis. Now, if you remember, back in 2012, there was a movie put out by Universal on the 30th of July entitled The Bourne Legacy. 10 days before the premiere of The Bourne Legacy, on the 20th of July, there was a mass shooting in Aurora, Colorado. In Aurora, Colorado, on the 20th of July, 2012, many people had ended up being shot and killed at the cinema, the Century 16 cinema. Now, a month before that shooting, there was a company by the name of the AstraZeneca Corporation who had dispersed a COVID-19 vaccination years before that vaccination hit the market this month. Well, wait a minute. Now, what does this have to do, Bishop, with the greatest global cover-up in human history? Now, every single mass shooting in American history represents, according to my contacts, a present-day Blackbriar Treadstone operation. Because in that movie, In 2012, the Bourne Legacy, the Central Intelligence Agency had created super soldiers, okay, and had introduced a biological weapon in the form of a pill called CHEMS, capital CHEMS. This is where we get the term chemical, chemistry, chemtrails. So what happened this past Monday was calculated. So we've had 246 mass shootings since 2009 up until this past Monday, okay? Now, this 21-year-old man, according to my contacts in the federal government, this Muslim by the name of 𝙒𝙗𝙤 𝙒𝙗𝙤𝙗𝙗 was arrested because he went into a grocery store, and the grocery store is named the King Grocery Store. So in the Denver, Colorado area, they have a chain of grocery stores called the King Supermarts or the King Super Grocery Stores. Well, in my studies, a corporation, a secret society that I like to call them, by the name of the Open Source Society, owns the King Grocery Store chains. Well, who owns the Open Source Society? George Soros. Now, I'm not saying that he had anything to do with what happened this past Monday. So we've had 246 mass killings since 2009, okay? Now, guess what president for the past 30 years had more mass shooting deaths during his presidency than compared to all of the other presidents, Barack Obama? Yep. So in 1999, can I take my time, guys? Because I believe in laying foundations. So back in 1999, yes, sir, absolutely. There was a pharmaceutical company that was created by MI6, including the University of Cambridge or Cambridge University in England, called AstraZeneca. Now, Astra, capital ASTRA, is a Hindu Sanskrit word signifying weapon. Then the term ZE is a Polish term signifying that in the term Necker, okay, or AstraZeneca or Necker, capital NECARE, is a Latin word signifying kills. Oh, that's interesting. So AstraZeneca means weapon that kills. Now, if you look it up, the term Astra on Wikipedia, and then in parentheses, okay, it says weapon. So the shooter, 𝙒𝙗𝙤 𝙒𝙗𝙤𝙤, though his name is Arabic, but when his name is transliterated in the Sanskrit, it means AstraZeneca. Now, I brought some tickets for you guys to pick up your jaws from the floor, because this is not by accident. You'll see, Pastor Smith's going to have me start preaching here. So then, to understand from Kobe Bryant's death, this global synchronized pattern of assassinations. Now, as a quick side note, next time I come on your show, I would love to do a teaching on the historical patterns of assassination. For the last 2,000 years, okay, we've had more than 33,000 assassinations, okay? Now, if you connect every assassination in history on a global map, then it looks like a map of miniature Baphomet pyramids. That's another topic for another day. So there, what happened on Monday? Now, NBC Fake News had put out an op-ed the following day on Tuesday, signifying that the mass killing of 10 people in connection to AstraZeneca vaccine. In other words, man of God, this is not by accident, as we're breaking down the greatest global cover-up in human history. So this Treadstone operation, okay, that began through that movie, the 2012 movie, with Jeremy Renner, through the Bourne Legacy. It talks about the Central Intelligence Agency creating a certain vaccine in pill form that would replicate both the DNA, the RNA of the soldier, in the psyop of the thinking of what they call a 𝙭𝙗𝙗𝑥, capital L-A-R-X. A 𝙭𝙗𝙗𝑥 is a Manchurian candidate. So this AstraZeneca is a Hindu word signifying weapon that kills. Now, remember Columbine in 1999. That was the same year that AstraZeneca was created. And then from 1999 to 2009, what happened in Boulder, Colorado, Brother Michael and Pastor Smith, was a real-time Black operation to distract the attention of the American people from what's going on within this pop-up administration called the Biden administration, okay? Because the Biden administration, the inauguration did not take place in DC. I tell people, stop. It took place in Castle Rock in Los Angeles, okay? So the AstraZeneca Corporation specializes in biopharmaceutical weapons through vaccination. So 246 mass killings in American history since 2009 up until this past Monday. Every year concerning these mass killings from 2009 to now, a pharmaceutical company, whether it's Eli Lilly, Johnson & Johnson, even GlaxoSmithKline, the Novartis AG group, who was being sued by Kobe Bryant. And that's why they took him out, because Kobe Bryant was suing the Novartis AG group, the Akorn, capital A-K-O-R-N, which owned high-tech pharmaceuticals out of Lacrosse, Georgia. Kobe was suing them for two reasons. One, because they were using his nickname, the Black Mamba. But the real reason why they took him out, Brother Michael and Pastor Smith, because Kobe was going to expose Novartis, which owns over 2,000 subsidiary pharmaceutical companies throughout the world, two of which were being sued by Kobe Bryant. Akorn in high-tech pharmaceuticals out of Lacrosse, Georgia, where their CEO is a billionaire by the name of Jared Wheat, who's under indictment by both the FBI and the SEC for insider trading, SEC, and for lacing his weight loss pills under the name of the Black Mamba with opioid substances. Now, before we get back to the killings this past Monday, something popped in my spirit. That Sikorsky 76B helicopter, okay? At the time, it was owned by a company out of Van Nuys, California, by the name of the Island Holdings Group. Now, the Island Holdings Group bought the helicopter 3 years before Kobe's assassination in January of 2017, when the executives of the Island Holdings Group traveled to Chicago and bought the Sikorsky 76B helicopter, as if there's no helicopters in California, for $515,000. Who owned the Sikorsky line of helicopters, and especially the one that Kobe died in? Okay, the governor of the state of Illinois, Jay Pritzker. I'm not blaming him for anything. Jay Pritzker, who is destroying Chicago in the state because of this fake shutdown, he not only owned the Sikorsky 76B helicopter, but his family, the Pritzkers, who also owned the Marriott chain of hotels, besides the Standard, besides W, they own the Mormon Group, which owned that helicopter that Kobe died in. Okay. Now, this same Jay Pritzker, who also is a 20% owner of the Acme Brick Company. Now, do you guys remember last summer the riots throughout the nation, but especially in Minneapolis because of the death of George Floyd? Okay, he's 6'6.5", but his coffin was 6'1". I don't know. I'm not a doctor. No, I'm not a mortician. How does a body shrink like that, man of God? So then, this conspiracy, getting back to the killings that happened this past Monday. So AstraZeneca, also you get the term astral projection, okay, or astral reactor. So these killings are not random. And what is the goal of the deep state as far as with these vaccinations? Well, now medically, scientifically, we have 44 base pairs in our body, okay? 22 base pairs or 46 chromosomes. Now, you and I are told to separate ourselves from 6 feet from each other. Now, think about this. We're told 7.7 billion people are told to physically separate ourselves 6 feet from each other. 7.7 billion people times 6 is 46,200,000,000 degrees of separation. You got 46 chromosomes, 23 from the mother, 23 from the father. 200, well, in Enoch chapter 6, volume 1, 200 angels fell on Mount Hermon. Now, if you look at the logo of the Paramount Studios, that's Mount Hermon that has 22 stars. Wow. At the beginning of any Paramount Studio movie, it has stars falling from the sky, gracing along a lake or a ravine. That is the replication of what happened in Genesis 6, Enoch 6, Jude 6, 666. Now, I'm going to say something that's going to blow your minds. You guys probably already know this. When you examine the word reset, now again, the term re is a suffix. Well, my question is, from a theological standpoint, as we're talking about the greatest global cover-up in human history, what person gave birth to the origin or the seed of what we call a set? It was Lucifer. Because in Isaiah chapter 14, verses 12, 13, and 14, okay, and by the way, the first letter of Lucifer, L, Satan, S, devil, D, there's your LSD. Another topic for another day. And you take the term Lucifer, allow me to wipe some of the anointing off. Listen. So if you take the term or the word Lucifer and write it rabbinically from right to left, you get a Latin Vulgate expression entitled reficle, which means the recycling of fecal matter.
Oh my God.
So Lucifer said, I. That was the first set. So in Enoch chapter 6, volume 1, 20 angels out of the 200, or 10% of the angels, are named by the prophet in the seer Enoch. Now, allow me 2 to 3 minutes to quickly go through the names of the angels and what they mean in concert to what happened this past Monday. So the names of these 20 angels are interpreted in Persian, okay? So the names of these 20 angels are Simjaza. His name means in Persian cognitional. Simziza means thinking. 𝗂𝙁𝙗𝙗 means that will. 𝗵𝙗𝙗 means begin. 𝗂𝙗𝗃𝗃 means the process. And then 𝗵𝙗𝙗 means of reversing. 𝗵𝙗𝙗 means the design. Daniel, Danel, means from God, all in Persian now. Ezekiel means to reorder. Baraquil, these are fallen angels now in Enoch chapter 6, volume 1. Baraquil means a new design. Azael means new pathogen. Baturel means beginning. Enanel means new kingdom. Zaquil means new government. Samsapil means back to heaven. Saturil means to rule. Turil means humanity. Jomjel means resetting DNA. And serial means deception. So the falling of these 20 angels out of the 200 that convene on Mount Hermon simply represents a global heptagon Baphomet Luciferic code of cognitional thinking that would begin the process of reversing the design from God to reorder a new design, a new pathogen, a new protein, beginning a new kingdom, a new government, back to heaven to rule humanity by resetting DNA through deception.
Wow. Oh my God.
I'll send this to you guys after the show. So but fine, and so now I got some tickets for you to pick up your jaws from the floor, because what these devils like Klaus Schwab is saying, they know they are attempting to reset this world through a demonic psyop of the fallen angels going back nearly 6,000 years. That brings us to the Colorado shooting. 5 minutes, and then we're going to give the floor over for you guys for Q&A. So the Colorado shooting. Now, if you guys can type in Colorado shooting kills 10 U.S. health officials raise concern about AstraZeneca. Wait a minute now. Wait. So this is NBC.com and their op-ed that came out this past Tuesday. Colorado shooting kills 10. U.S. health officials raise concern about AstraZeneca, weapon that kills in Hindu, about AstraZeneca vaccine trial. Wait a minute now. So they're telling you that AstraZeneca is a present day truth serum given to these shooters. Now, people are saying, wait a minute, Bishop, this is not a Hollywood movie. You and I are eyewitnessing not just a Truman Show, but you and I are there you go right there. You see? So why would NBC, but we're also eyewitnessing a present day born legacy? So then, concerned about AstraZeneca vaccine trial, what business would NBC have anything to do with the shooting in connection to AstraZeneca? Because the goal of the global pharmaceutical industrial complex is to replicate DNA through deception. So in other words, this global, man, I feel an anointing, this global Luciferian deep state, they want to add get this, 22 more base pairs through nanotechnology that would bring your DNA, listen, of 3 strands of 22, or the number 322, which is the number of the skulls and bones. Because if you type in on google.com 322 COVID, it would take you to multiple links and sites where throughout the world it shows 322 new cases. Now, what does 322 have to do with the skulls and bones? Well, the first man in Greek history, a man by the name of Demosthenes. Demosthenes, who died in 322, okay, BC, was the first man who built the underground pedophilia network in the Greek Empire. So this is the reason why the skulls and bones, okay, that was created with Rockefeller money, okay, created with Rothschild money through Alfonso Taft, put this number 322 underneath its skull. That represents that the skulls and bones are worshipers of Demosthenes, who built the first underground pedophilia system within the Greek Empire. He was not just a great orator and a statesman, but he built a Greek Empire system of pedophilia, child trafficking, and child sacrifice. Now, in my conclusion, that's why we see this number of 322. Now, the question is, as far as DNA is concerned, there is a medical DNA term called PBR 322, okay? PBR 322. That also represents that our DNA will be replicated through these vaccines. And do you know that there is a pharmaceutical company out of England by the name of MRC5, the Medical Research Council, okay, where they are saying, and you know, the devil's not hiding this anymore. You know, years ago, they used to hide this. They're telling you, okay, I double dare you to do something. So MRC5 per PERC6, per C6, 𝗏𝗘293, the human embryonic cell strain 5. These vaccines are made out of tissues of dead aborted children. This is what's being inoculated in Americans, because there was 32,000 guinea pigs of this AstraZeneca vaccine. And according to my contacts, what happened in Colorado was a present-day Black Briar operation. Now, how do we connect that to what the word of the Lord says? And I'm done. Now, in the gospel according to Saint Matthew, chapter number 4, verse 3, where Christ is tempted by Lucifer, L, Satan, S, devil, D, there's your LSD. Command this stone to be made bread. Now, in the Persian text, even though that's what we're teaching from the Greek New Testament in Matthew 4 and 3, but according to the Persian lexicon, the term stone means to tread. And the term bread means, okay, not only stone means to tread, but also the term bread means black briar. Wait a minute now. In Persia now. So what the devil was doing, command this stone or tread stone to be made bread or briar or black briar. And what came to my mind, brother and sister, what came to my mind was the 2012 Born Legacy movie. So it's not by accident that the goal of the global Luciferian deep state is to bring depopulation. Now, have you guys heard of the Georgia Guidestones? Okay, now it was erected in 1980 by a man by the name of R.C. Christian, whose real name was R.C. Plotzker. Now, as a side note, the name Plotzker was the maiden last name of the ex-wife of Dr. Dre, okay? So yes, there was an assassination attempt upon Dr. Dre and with Tiger Woods, okay? Because they're telling you and I not to go all over the map, but to understand that these devils, they are psychopaths and sociopaths. A psychopath is born, a sociopath is made. They wanted to take out Tiger Woods, and the question is why? A week before his so-called accident, according to my two contacts in the FBI, they said that a week before the attempted assassination of Tiger Woods, he sold millions of dollars worth of shares of Robinhood, Reddit, and GameStop. Now, I'm not blaming these companies as to what happened to Tiger, but the same sheriff who had led the press conference at Kobe Bryant's death is the same sheriff who led the press conference at Tiger Woods' attempted assassination. His name is 𝗵𝗵𝗂𝗶𝗵, who is the 33rd sheriff in the history of LA County. So the question is, why are we seeing these mass murders? It's called the law of distraction, okay? Now, another perspective I'm going to leave with you guys before we give the floor over to you guys for Q&A. You have to understand that the masses are being manipulated by their manipulators whose sole intent is to manipulate manipulation. Let me say this again. So the masses are being manipulated by their manipulators whose sole intent is to manipulate manipulation. So these mass killings are going to continue because the goal of the deep state is to take away your guns, okay? That's the goal of the deep state. Because on the Georgia Guidestones, and I'm done, the goal of the Georgia Guidestone is to depopulate the country to 500 million people. Why that number? Wait a minute now. So they want to liquidate 7,200,000,000 people. So we got 7.7 billion people, but they want to liquidate 7,200,000,000 people so that the population can be condensed to 500 million. Why 500 million? Well, in the book of the Revelation of St. John the Divine, chapter 12, verse 4, it talks about that the dragon or the dragon, the serpent, Lucifer, with his tail drew a third part of the angels of God. Now, in Hebrew mathematics, because we can't understand the word through a Gentile psychology. So in order to understand God, you have to have a proper understanding of Hebrew. And not just Hebrew, but there's 300 dialects of Hebrew, another topic for another day. But the term third part is not 333%. That's in Gentile thinking, okay? But the rabbinical mathematical equation of third part is 666%, which is 500 million fallen angels. But yet, the Georgia Guidestones are saying that we want the population to be at 500 million people to bring a balance of nature. And that's my end of the greatest global cover-up in human history. From Kobe Bryant to COVID-19 to Black Lives Matter. Yes, Black Lives Matter are led by 3 stinking witches. I don't care who likes it or not. They are led by 3 witches, okay? Alicia Garza, Oprah Tometi, and Patrice Cullors. Whereas their slave master, George Soros, his intent is to destroy these United States of America. Now, I got to say this as well, that when you look at the origins of Black Lives Matter and the origins of Antifa, now there is a medical term that I want you guys to write down or look up. It's called hetero paternal superfecundation. That's a long word. So then hetero, capital HETERO, hetero super fecundation, capital SUPER, FECUNDATION. So hetero paternal superfecundation simply means a mother has fraternal twins. The twins belong to the same mother, but they don't belong to the same father, okay? So as going back to Cain and Abel, okay, when you connect the words of the names Cain to the term Abel, you get the term cannibal or spirit cooking. So then in Genesis 4:1, and Eve bared Cain. So then the Judeo-Hebrew term for bear is the term Mendenhall. And that is pronounced as capital MENDENHALL. Wait a minute. Now, Bishop, what does heteropaternal superfecundation have anything to do with what's going on now in our country? It is the splicing of a demonic DNA to be inserted inside of us under the guise of COVID-19 vaccination. So that term Mendenhall, when you look it up on the Urban Dictionary, Mendenhall simply means to mount up someone from behind while they're on the fetal position on the ground. After the deed is complete, you roll them over and see the humiliation in their eyes. So what happened to the woman in the garden is that she was Mendenhall. Now, a lot of people may not understand that, because we have to understand that though we have 66 books in the Word of the Lord, 45 were taken out. By who? By the Vatican at the 325 AD conference in Nicene, Turkey, okay? And then centuries later, during the 1666 conference of bishops in the Vatican, okay? With the military protection of the Jesuit Secret Society that was born in Paris, France, during the year of 1540. So then, the woman was Mendenhall. And as a side note, that term Mendenhall, it means to rape. Anytime you hear a woman in Hollywood, in education stating that my child is a Mendenhall baby, that's what she's telling you, okay? So now I keep saying in my conclusion, see, and this is what I do to my global masterclass. Sometimes I teach up to 6 hours, but I'm not doing that anymore as far as teaching up to 5-6 hours. But in the House of Representatives is that there is a symbol on the back wall of the House of Representatives. And it's 2 symbols, one on the right and one on the left. So then that symbol is a Roman column, okay, with a twisted barbed wire around the column. And Brother Michael, if you can look that up on Google Images, okay? This column is called fasces, capital FASCES. So that is a term meaning Roman law, that the deep state will protect the system through life and limb. So any president who gives the State of the Union address, those two Roman columns are on the back wall behind the president. That is a Roman antiquity term called fasces, capital F-A-S-C-E-S, or some pronounce it as mace, capital M-A-C-E, which means fascist, facies, fascist, and or the term feces. I kid you not. So this is the system that we are battling against, okay? Because you and I have been told a lie. Anything outside of the word of God, anything outside of Jesus Christ is a lie. You and I have been lied to, because every single word, and I promise you I'm done, there are over 1 million words, listen, that the world knows and is speaking today. But more specifically, out of that 1 million words, 170,000 we speak every day, every single word outside of the word of God is rooted in a curse, okay? Now, why is that? This is the part of the greatest global cover-up in human history. Because of two Vatican treaties, the Treaty of 1213 and the Treaty of 1302 called Unam Sanctam. The Treaty of 1213, when King John of Great Britain, of England, had abdicated his power as the king of the British Empire to Pope Innocent III. This is the Treaty of 1213, thereby giving the Vatican control of the world, because at that protracted period of time, the British Empire was the world. That's the Treaty of 1213. Then 89 years later, during the 1302 Unam Sanctum, this is the birth of the birth certificate through Pope Boniface VIII. Now, the Pope Boniface VIII, through the Unam Sanctum of 1302, had said that all souls belong to me through the Vatican, okay, through the birth certificate. So this birth certificate is a document that is worth $500,000 at your birth, that unless your mom and dad sign on the dotted line, your child would not be given the rights to the blessings of the state. Now, many countries around the world, 75%, if a parent doesn't sign on the dotted line concerning your birth certificate or you being certified by the state, 7 years, they give you 7 days for a parent to sign that document. Because if the parent doesn't sign it, your child is deemed to be dead by the state. Well, that's all rooted in the Vatican. Not just because of the Treaty of 1213, but because of Unam Sanctum of 1302, because of Pope Boniface VIII. So we have Pope Innocent III, the Treaty of 1213, and Pope Boniface VIII, the Treaty of 1302 called Unam Sanctum. All these words, okay, like innocent until proven guilty. Well, that's a Vatican term signifying that you're dead on arrival as you go to court because you were summoned. Now look at the term summoned. That has a demonic connection to it. So when an individual is summoned to the court, okay, he or she has to appear before the judge, or called the Grim Reaper. This is because of the 1302 Unam Sanctum, okay? So in my conclusion, every soul, 7.7 billion, according to the Vatican, you belong to them through remote viewing. You belong to them through a global Vaticanized deception. And this is a reason why. And I'm sure Pastor Smith and Brother Mike, you can properly understand what I'm about to say. I believe God allowed this shutdown to happen because God is so sick and he's tired of the church, okay? We're so busy building empire, but we're not interested in building kingdom. We want the trappings of empire, Lear jets, okay, multi-million-dollar buildings, okay? But we have fallen out of love with Christ. And the tragedy is that we're so tied to the system of the matrix that was birthed through the serpent in connection to the Vatican. And then the term Vatican means Vatican anus or anus, but it also means divining serpent. We're so tied to it that God says, you know, I'm going to allow this to happen because you're so busy building empire, but you're not interested in building kingdom. Because of this Pope Boniface VIII decree. Now, I'm sure, and I'm done after this, I promise you, that I'm sure that you heard of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and this is a part of the greatest global cover-up in human history. Well, Alcoholics Anonymous, not to condemn your listeners who are in AA now or have been in AA, it was created by Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob, his partner, business partner, in the house of Bill Wilson's wife, and Dr. Bob's wife, including Dr. Bob, in 1935, where they invoked the presence of Pope Boniface VIII through a seance. Wow. So AA was built through a seance on the living room floor of the home of Bill Wilson, in the form of a circle with a Baphomet star in the middle. And to all of your listeners, listen, you got to be very careful that you do not teach something called Kabbalistical theology and think that is God. That is not of God. So that's another topic for another day. So Pope Boniface VIII, he was invoked as a demon in 1935 that gave birth to Alcoholics Anonymous. This is how the 12-step program began, through a seance, through automatic handwriting, okay? And that's my end tonight of the greatest global cover-up in human history, from Kobe Bryant, COVID-19, Black Lives Matter, Antifa. Now, Antifa, like I said, that medical term, paternal superfecundation. The twins, fraternal twins, they have the same mother, but they don't have the same father. So the mother of Antifa is George Soros, and the mother of Black Lives Matter is George Soros, but the father of Antifa was the late former Nazi general Reinhard Gehlen, who created a secret society in 1931 called Action, capital Aktion, which means anti-fascist in German. So Reinhard Gehlen, who helped build the Central Intelligence Agency, is the father of Antifa, whose flag, okay, in the logo of the flag of Antifa was created by a Russian killer. Wait a minute, I thought Antifa, including the Nazis, were anti-fascists, but a fascist created the present day flag. The first one that created the present day flag was not George Soros. It was a Russian killer by the name of Mikhailovich Molotov, who was a protege of Joseph Stalin, who was the father of the Molotov cocktail. He's the creator of Antifa's flag, and the original creator of Antifa is General Reinhard Gehlen, a Nazi killer. But the father of Black Lives Matter, okay, is the 𝙒𝙘𝗍 Secret Society. And brother Mike, if you can just type in on Google Images, 𝙒𝙘𝗍, capital THUGGEE. Now, the 𝙒𝙘𝗍 Secret Society, and this again a part of the greatest global cover-up in human history. The 𝙒𝙘𝗍 Secret Society was a bandit of men, a secret society of assassins going back to the year 1301 in British India. Their job was to recruit assassins to bring down the British crown. There you go. So if you can expand that picture on the right of the 𝙒𝙘𝗍. So the 𝙒𝙘𝗍s were the first ones that instituted the psyop of gangs, okay? Now, there are gangs today who call themselves thuggies or thug life. That's where you get the psyop of thug life, okay? So these devils are the fathers of Black Lives Matter, because Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization, okay? So I thank you guys for your patience, and I thank you, and this is a lot of information, okay?
Oh my gosh.
But I just can't talk about what happened on Monday without going back at least a year ago to what happened to Kobe Bryant that created this global cascade of randomness of what happened this past Monday in Colorado. And I thank you guys.
Thank you.
That was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. So Carmen, you wanna start out with a question? With your brilliant mind, and then I'll jump in.
My mind is reeling, and I
Yes.
listened to other things that you've talked about, and you know, of course, the selfish nerd in me is like, tell them about this, tell them about that. But a couple of things that I think that really makes so much sense to me was that Kobe Bryant, it was kind of like, it was that fulcrum point that everything just started going. And it's literally the very thing that led me to you, Bishop, because my daughter, who didn't give a flip about the NBA, was so touched by his death and how so many people were blown away by it, that she started researching, and she found you. And that's how I found you. And that's how I started following you. And then, you know, you became one of my go-to people, because as you say, you red pill the red pills, because there's nothing, I mean, you have clearly been doing this for years and years and years. Has it been difficult to wait for everybody to get here?
That is a great question. It's sometimes it's difficult because, and especially, I hate to put colors, because color is nothing but a psyop. Especially Black America, not all, there's a great percentage that they're so afraid to even attempt to leave this global crap barrel because they're so tied into the system. And you know what, woman of God, you hit a powerful nerve with me, Pastor Smith. You know, getting back to that Emancipation Proclamation, okay? It was never the design of the global mafia Kenzarian system to liberate not just Black people, any people. You see, these sports and entertainment stars are controlled assets of the system. So to talk to them and try to open up their minds, we got NFL players who are supporting our global masterclass. I have a global masterclass every Friday and Monday afternoon at 4 p.m. We got classes all over the world, okay? And we have a new global masterclass in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. It's an underground class. So, but it's hard sometimes to open up their minds because, you see, instead of me jerking out the plug from their heads, I have to wiggle it out slowly. So my objective, my assignment is to unplug this. And I'm going to say something that's radical, and this is what I've been teaching for the past 40 years. Your skin color is not who you are. And for some reason, not all, but Black America has put a premium on skin color. Well, before the fall of Adam had no skin. This is where we get the term pigmentation. Well, when Jesus cast out the legion, it went into the herd of swine, or the pigmentation. So the skin represents a symbol of our fallen state. It's not who we are, it's what we become because of our fallen state. The thing I want to concentrate on is not what your color is, because your color is going back to the dust from whence it came. You got a witch in Hollywood named Beyonce, okay? Is saying that black is king, or the devil is a lie, Pastor Smith. Black is not king, white's not king, brown's not. The King of Kings and the Lord of Lords is Jesus Christ. But trying to open this now, my assignment also is to awaken this, to awaken not your reality, but your ality. Oh, so the term ality means your pre-original state before origination. In other words, you were designed to be spirit. That's who you are. You are spirit. So the question I want to ask you, Pastor Smith and Brother Michael, are you a human being living a spiritual experience, or are you a spiritual being living a human experience?
Definitely a spiritual being having a human experience.
Yes, that's what it is. And so we're so tied to this human experience. And I'm going to say something that's radical too, and that's in connection to the topic today, the greatest global cover-up in human history. Who you are cannot be seen with the naked eye. Who you are is not going back to the dust. What you are, your skin color is going back to the dust, but who you are is going back to God who gave it. And so for some reason, we're putting, not you guys, but so many people is putting a premium on Black history, or Black or white or Black consciousness or Latino consciousness. Those are just symbols of our fallen state. But trying to open up their minds to see that, it's a challenge. But we got students who listen to the bishop's teachings and they're red pill, they're awakened, you know? So, you know, I am a threat to a lot of people. I have a lot of enemies, even in the truther community, because the same devils that they claim that they're exposing that's connected to pedophilia are these same companies who are sponsoring them. So my assignment is to awaken them, Pastor Smith and Brother Mike. It is to awaken them. And then, oh my God, here's revelation here. Until we begin to value one another, we will continue to kill each other. Mm-hmm. Because it was not in our design, Brother Michael and Pastor Dragonfly. I like that, Pastor Dragonfly. It was not in our design to kill. For a man or a woman or a child to kill something that they valued more than God had to enter into them, because they don't know who they are. So when Jesus had said in Mark, chapter 5, what is your name? The demon said 50 Cent. I'm sorry, Legion. The demon said Snoop Dogg, Legion. The demon said Little Bow Wow, Legion. So we have reduced ourselves to an animal, to a pig. We will reduce ourselves by calling ourselves Ice T, Ice Cube, and Ice Tray, but don't know who we are. So I'm a threat. Oh my God, I got enemies, foreign and domestic, my brother and sister. So because I know who I am,
Right.
I don't react to people.
Yes.
And the reason why these devils are controlling our psychology, in 1953, between 53 and 54, a man by the name of Israel Cohen, I'm not talking about Jewish people, I'm just talking about the 1%. Israel Cohen was a member of the Fabian Society. And he wrote a document, which a lot of people think, oh, he's anti-Semitic, and it's not true. But Israel Cohen wrote a 1953-54 document, a racial program for the 20th century. When he said that the goal of this global Khazarian mafia is to divide white from black, black from white, young versus old, old versus youth, by using Hollywood, the media, to divide and conquer us. It's working. And so, you know, and another thing I'm going to say, and forgive me for getting away from the premise of your question, Pastor Smith. I'm going to say something that is going to rock your world, okay? White people did not create the Ku Klux Klan. I got y'all's attention now. White people did not create the Ku Klux Klan. A Khazarian attorney by the name of Philip Benjamin Judah, or Judah Philip Benjamin. Judah Philip Benjamin, who was a Rothschild agent in the 1860s, was also the Secretary of State in War for the Confederacy. Mm-hmm. Judah Philip Benjamin, with Rothschild money, created a new secret society called the Ku Klux Klan. Wait a minute, Bishop. Saying you're saying a Jew? Yes. Now, since goes going people, oh, he's an anti-Semite. I tell people, stop. Let's teach the truth. So Judah Philip Benjamin recruited, okay, Albert Pike and Nathan Bedford Forrest to be the face of the Klan, but they did not create the Klan. It was Rothschild money out of the annals of the Knights of the Golden Circle. So that's a lie that we've been taught. And another lie that we've been taught, okay, was that, I don't know if you guys heard of the story of Nat Turner, okay? Nat Turner was owned as a slave by Judah Philip Benjamin, who created the Klan in Pulaski, Tennessee in 1865, October 1865. So Nat Turner, we've been taught that it was a white slave owner that told Nat Turner to go kill other white people. That's a lie. Why did America stop feeling guilty for something you had nothing to do with? Oh my God, I'm gonna get in trouble now. You're gonna get a lot of emails after this teaching tonight. So Judah Philip Benjamin had told his own slave Nat Turner to go throughout the Hamptons in Virginia to kill off the competition, who were white people. So white people, listen, do not bow down to any black organization. Do not bow down to Black Lives Matter. You have had nothing to do, excellent picture there, man of God, with the construction of the transatlantic slave trade, okay? So it's a hard thing trying to awaken certain people, but we got hundreds and thousands, actually millions of students who are being awakened right now. These are lies that we've been taught, okay? And that's why they want a race war, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I didn't mean to veer off into the Klan to get from the premise of your question, Pastor Smith. But I want to say, I'm going to say another mind-blowing thing. Okay, a part of the greatest global cover-up in human history. Thank you for your patience. We've been taught a lie concerning what Jesus Christ looked like. Now I don't care what he looks like. He's a spirit, right? God is in that skin color. Michelangelo in the 1500s was commissioned by Pope Alexander to change all of the paintings of Jesus the Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach, from a darker hue to a lighter hue. Now, why would I bring that up in conjunction to your question, Pastor Smith? Because if a particular people see a image that is a lie, not because of the of an opposite color that is a lie. No, the lie is that the greatest weapon, thank you, Holy Spirit, that's in the hand of the oppressor. And when I say the oppressor, I'm not talking about black people or white people. The oppressor is Satan. The greatest weapon in the hands of Satan is the mind of the oppressed. So the picture that you and I know of Jesus with the long hair, okay, and the painting from the chest up, kind of with a brown beige background. And and Pastor Smith, if you can bring that up, or Brother Mike, the painting, the famous painting of what we've been taught was Jesus with the kind of a brown beige background, with the chest on up. I believe he's wearing a white robe. Forgive the siren, that's deep state. That painting is not Jesus of the Gospels, okay? That was a man by the name of Caesar Borgia, capital Borgia, who was the illegitimate son of Pope Alexander. And Caesar Borgia was also the homosexual lover of his cousin, Michelangelo. So the authentic Jesus of the Gospels that you and I preach, Pastor Smith, okay, and the original Jews were people of color. And so now I've had people from the ADL call me here and say, well, you're preaching anti-Semitism. No, let's get to the truth. That's part of the greatest global cover-up in human history. We've been lied to. Now, when I say we, I'm not talking about Black America. We, as the family of the earth, Pastor Smith and Brother Michael, have been lied to. There you go. And so we have to destroy the image of what the Luciferian deep state wants us to digest. We have to destroy that image and to present Jesus Christ not as black and white, I don't care what color he was, but to preach Jesus and him crucified. So I just wanted to bring up the Klan and also about the imaging. And again, Bishop, I'm not teaching a race theory or a doctrine.
Right.
But getting back to the premise of your question, Pastor Smith, this is how we open. And sometimes it's a challenge. It's a challenge. So yeah, interesting. Any more questions? I love this.
So we'll give you one more, and then we'll share how people get hold of you.
Yes.
So that there's a big, push, like we're talking about, to destroy the Second Amendment and take away guns.
Oh, yes.
We're seeing right now a massive suppression of ammo, which is pretty much the same thing. Suppressing the Second Amendment. Where do you see that going? The the suppression of ammo and taking away the guns and so forth. Like like we've been talking about, and you've so eloquently brought up a massive amounts of information about Colorado being what I brought up as well, basically headquarter area for CIA, MK Ultra, mind control, Mockingbird and so forth. That's why we see so many mass shootings in Colorado, in my opinion.
Yes.
And staged and so forth. So what do you think is going on with the which is probably one of the ways they're going to like bring in, you know, suppression of Second Amendment. Where do you see that going?
I see there's a concerted effort to confiscate our guns by creating false flags, okay, crisis actors, okay, so that way they can destroy the Second Amendment. But it's not going to work. And the war, excellent question, man of God. The war that you and I have eyewitnessed, man and woman of God, for the past 4 years, that President Trump, that I believe is the greatest president, not just of my lifetime, but President Donald J. Trump is the greatest president in U.S. presidential history.
I agree. Yeah,
he did something that no president got away with, was to take over the Fed. But I see the guns, I see what's going to happen, that this clone in that press conference was a sham. Okay, we'll talk about that next time. I felt, I mean, I'm in pain right now because we have a fraudulent president. But getting back to the premise of your question, man of God, it's not going to work. Our guns, I mean, you don't want us to have any type of gun. So that way you can control us. You take away our guns. That's why the British people are being controlled, because guns that are not only outlawed, okay, in England, but the government, the British government is controlling the people to the point where they were under this 2, 3, 4 tier system that you can't leave London, okay, because of the COVID-19 shutdown. But the people have no weapons to defend themselves. God forbid if someone comes in and tries to kill them and their children. But getting back to your question, it's not going to happen, because the Second Amendment, the right, it didn't say what specific type of weapon. We have the right to bear arms, okay? We have a right to protect ourselves. So, you know, you got a fraudulent president, and you got a whore as a vice president. I'm talking about Kamala Harris, okay? That's what she is. So, but it's not going to work. We're going to keep our guns, okay? But there is a conspiracy to create mass shootings, okay, in order to give the government a pretext to confiscate our guns. But all of this goes back to those angels and what they mean in Enoch concerning this reset, but it's not going to work. And you know what really upset me? Not just because Trump was cheated and shafted. What really disturbed me was 138,000 American pastors who voted for Joe Biden.
Me too.
I don't understand, Brother Mike and Pastor, and jump in anytime, guys, and Pastor Smith. So wait a minute now, 138,000 pastors, okay, who are also a part of the World Council of Churches that was created with Rockefeller and Rothschild money after World War II. Why? So these 138,000 pastors signed on the dotted line that we're going to support a man who supports an 8-year-old child to have a sex reassignment surgery. I don't understand. And these pastors are telling me, well, on my radio show, well, Bishop, you know, we got to eat the meat and throw away the bones. I say, you can talk that crap to yourself if you want to. You can't have it both ways. You can't say that you're pro-life, but you just voted for a pro-death president who told you that you ain't black if you're going to vote for Donald J. Trump. But ignorantly, these black pastors, when I say they're not ignorant, but the psyop, they voted for a man because they got paid off.
Right. And that's what I was.
And they signed their churches over to FEMA. Okay. So just in case there's another scamdemic, their churches will become FEMA camps. I don't understand. But I had pastors to tell me, the Lord told me, I said, you are a lying snake. God did not tell you to vote for this devil and for his crackhead methods. So y'all got me started here today.
No,
So
and I'm so glad you said that, because I had two friends, pastor friends, prominent pastor friends that were friends on Twitter that I'd known for years, who all of a sudden out of nowhere, it's like they couldn't tolerate me anymore, and they blocked me, and I'm like, who am I to block? Like, I'm like sending out love and light, and like, how am I a threat to you? They couldn't even have me in their timeline, and that's a huge shift that came seemingly out of nowhere.
Wow.
And so I was wondering if it was financially motivated. So you did answer that question.
Yeah, it was financially motivated, because these pastors are nothing more than the prophets of Baal. Okay. In other words, these pastors are financial whores. So they sold their soul for $1 to vote for someone, okay, who is a fraud among the American public, because Joe Biden in 1974 voted for busing segregation. But these pastors can't justify as to why they voted for a man who was in favor of busing segregation in 1974. And then 20 years later, signed on the dotted line in supporting this Bonnie and Clyde team, the Clintons, of the 1994 crime bill that put 2.7 million Black men in prison for having an ounce of cocaine. Now, don't get me wrong. You get jail time. I don't care how much cocaine or crack that you use. But 2.7 million Black men got sentences of 20 to 30 years. First-time offenders of having an ounce of cocaine, but the distributors got little to no time. That's from Joe Biden, because Joe Biden is a downright racist, okay? That's what gets me. That's why I'm upset with these pastors. And they tried to twist it and to spin it and say, well, God did not change his mind. God doesn't change his mind, okay? You're not a pastor, okay? So when God judges you, don't call my radio show and crying the blues, because I don't want to hear it, okay? They're nothing more than snakes. But I believe President Trump is coming back.
I agree. Yep. He's
coming back.
Yep.
And I said, I was on the Roseanne Barr show 3 weeks ago, and I said that, President Trump is coming back in 4 years, but the Holy Spirit told me, oh no, he's coming back before 4 years, son. And so we need a revolution in this country. But in my conclusion concerning this greatest global cover-up in human history, this is not about color or race or ethnicity. This is about the truth. I am a John Wick. My job is to take these devils out in the spiritual realm. And I'm going to say something here. I'm not praying for the Rothschilds to change. I'm praying for God to take them out. I'm not praying that God would save these witches like Lady Gaga and Beyonce and Marina Abramovich. It's my prayer, God take them out. These people, especially the Rothschilds and the Warburgs, they're psychopaths. They want to destroy us. And the reason, and forgive me for wearing you guys out, but the thing is, why did President Trump go through hell? Because it was a war between two constitutions. The Constitution of 1776 that was ratified 3 times thereafter in 1781, 87, and 89 versus the Act of 1871 that made our Christian constitutional republic a corporation. But the corporation has been dissolved now when, after that January 6th invasion of the Capitol, which I loved. I'm going to get in trouble now. Okay. Now, I don't believe in going and shooting people and burning down homes and all that. I'm not saying that, but I believe that patriots had a right to rebel. And it was not patriots or Trump supporters who went in and just ransacked, the Senate or the House. So the second Constitution was brought about because of pressure from both the Vatican, from Pope Pius IX, in connection to the British arm of the Rothschilds, put pressure on a deep state president, Ulysses S. Grant. And why do I say he's a deep state president? Because he gave in to these devils to dissolve the first constitution, which declared that the IRS is an illegal entity. So they created a second fraudulent constitution that you got to pay taxes. Well, that's why we went to war in the American Revolutionary War of 1776, because of taxation without representation. So now we're given to a system that we fought against in the first place. So wait a minute now, because of a second constitution, we've had 25,000 wars in history on a global scale. Now, a couple of years ago, the New York Post, the New York Times, I can't even believe I'm saying this fake news of a news outlet, but the New York Times put out an op-ed, I believe between 2016 to 2017, that the United States of America has been in some type of war, proxy or non-proxy, okay, 90% of the time. Why? Because of a second constitution that's built on greed. So that's why these devils in DC, they want to make the District of Columbia a state. Why? Because they know the second constitution has been dissolved. And that's my conclusion. I don't know if you guys heard an African-American woman, her name evades me right now, but she wrote a book concerning the 1619 Project, that her goal was to destroy the first constitution in order to design a new constitution based on victimhood because of slavery. I got black folk, there's black, they hate me. Oh my God. I'm talking about liberal African, they hate me, Brother Mike. They call me every name in the book. I said, that's okay.
Well, we like you.
But you see, I'm not, oh, thank you. But I told her, listen, I'm not a slave. You know, my parents did not train and teach me to be a victim. Okay. No, they did not. And that's why Trump restored to us the first constitution. Now we're called the United States for America and not the United States of America. But that's why Trump was in the war, because of two constitutions. Yeah.
Beautiful. Bishop Larry Gaiters, absolutely amazing. Before the show, we were talking, and we were saying that you're like an angel and a saint all in one. So, I mean, your information is really helping humanity. Now, you have globalspiritualrevolutionmedia.com. Yes. We'll post that in the description box. I put it up a couple times, so so people can find you there. Looks like you got some great global master classes in there. I'm probably going to sign up for some of those. So thank you very much for sharing.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So where else can people find you?
Yes. Like you said, globalspiritualrevolutionmedia.com, globalspiritualrevolutionmedia.com. They can also, join our global masterclass. It's on our YouTube page. Our YouTube page is youtube.com/C/Global Spiritual Revolution Media Group, Global Spiritual Revolution Radio Media Group, or just type in Global Spiritual Revolution and subscribe to our YouTube page. Every week you'll get new, updated, fresh teachings. Now, the bishop, I'm just getting over a sickness, man of God and woman of God. I had a touch of pneumonia and a viral infection and a sinus infection because I was on some radio or podcast show every day from around the world. Okay. And before I got sick back in January, I was booked 2 years in advance with the speaking engagements for some radio or podcast. So God put me on my back. God arrested me in order to rest me. But now I cut out 80% of those speaking engagements, but I'm still very busy with other speaking engagements. But that being said, just subscribe to our YouTube page and they can just type in, if you can put that up, Brother Mike, as well, just type in Global Spiritual Revolution Radio, Global Spiritual Revolution Radio, or media group, and subscribe to us. All right. Also, on social media, they can join us on Facebook, facebook.com/Bishop L. Gaiters. That's Gaiters. Also, we have a group page on Facebook entitled Global Spiritual Revolution. Just type in Global Spiritual Revolution and join our global revolution. Last but never least, we have, follow me on Twitter too.
Okay, did not die because of the wind and the rain and the clouds.
So that's our YouTube page there. Absolutely. And please subscribe to us, okay? Some powerful, powerful, powerful teachings there. I've been in ministry for 40 years, okay? 40 years. And so I've traveled to more than 101 countries during that protracted period of time. And so also Twitter, my Twitter handle is at Bishop L. Gaiters, at Bishop L. Gaiters, Gaiters. I am the host of the nationally syndicated radio show, Global Spiritual Revolution Radio, on the WOR 710 AM network, the Voice of New York. You can hear us each and every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. on 710 WOR.iHeart.com. Again, 710 WOR.iHeart.com, or through the iHeart Radio and the iHeart Media Group network. So I've been in radio for 25 years, been in global apostolic ministry for 40, and I absolutely love what I do. And I am a contract killer, which means my job is to eviscerate the system called the deep state. I don't have a lot of friends. I got enemies, foreign and domestic, okay? But if a man or a woman doesn't have enemies, I question them, okay? So I want to thank God for you, Brother Michael, for allowing me to come on your show. I want to thank God for you, Pastor Smith, for allowing me to come on your show. And so we look forward to coming back sometime in the near future. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Carmen, where can people find you real quick?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were asking.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I didn't hear. Did you ask me, Mike?
Yeah, where can people find you real quick?
So, CarmenStuder.com, and then I did finally launch my little baby YouTube channel, so please come and see me there. It's my name, Carmen Studer, and then my daughter and I have a podcast that you can find on iTunes called Let Me Ask My Mom.
Excellent.
And also, Brother Mike, if I can say, and please forgive me, and thank you for your patience. I am the author of a book series called Comprehending the State of the Human Condition, Comprehending the State of the Human Condition. If they want to purchase that book series, they can go to our website at globalspiritualrevolutionmedia.com and then go to the book link and order those books. We also have a GSR class notebook, and as well as an awakening, being awakened in 28 days. It shows all of the wisdom of the bishop for each day of the month. And please financially support us as well. With your permission, Brother Mike and Pastor Smith, I'd like for you guys, if you can put up that PayPal link as well. PayPal.me/GSRR Media Group. Again, that is PayPal.me/GSRR Media Group. So our website is globalspiritualrevolutionmedia.com, and our PayPal link is paypal.me/GSRR Media Group. So thank you so much. And that is I almost said the revelation of Jesus Christ. I'm doing a series now. Oh, thank you so much, Brother Mike. We're doing a series now during our global masterclass of the revelation of Jesus Christ. But thank you so much for this powerful time. Didn't mean to wear you guys out. Please forgive me. The greatest global cover-up in human history. But the guns, they're not going to take our guns.
Right.
There are militia groups around the country. They're getting ready, Brother Mike. You know, they hate this two-party system because as presently constructed, it's unsustainable. You know, we got a $27.2 trillion debt. That's going to take us 3,600 years to liquidate. It's unsustainable. And then on a global scale, we have a $372 trillion debt that's going to take us 300,000 years to liquidate. It's unsustainable. Why? Because of a psyop of a second constitution. No, we're taking over this world for our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and we're not going to allow the deep state to take our guns. But thank you so much. We love you in Jesus' name. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Night, everybody. Lots of love.
Good night.